I got the notification.
Yeah. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Weekend Dojo. Tonight, we are continuing off of last week's series. We were talking about the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. And today, we are covering Spider-Man 2. I'm here joined by Spider-Ben from Twitter.
Yeah, happy Easter. We're talking about Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to let you start on this one, actually, because if I'm correct, this is your favorite movie.
Mm-hmm. All right. You want to start talking about, like, where we were on the last one? Like, you want to talk about costume design for this, or...
Well,
What
yes, that's actually a key factor in this one. So, if you guys remember at the ending of Spider-Man 1, his suit was horrendously damaged, torn up at all ends. So, he had to do a lot of repairing to that suit to fix it up, and he made a few tweaks and adjustments to it. In fact, I think he just remade the whole suit, because in Spider-Man 3, you saw he had two suits. One that was consumed by the black already, and another one that was laying in his closet.
Yeah, that always confused me. I always it was like, how did he get that out of there? Yeah, he
So,
completely changed his spider. Right off the bat, you can notice that.
he made 2 copies of his suit. My guess is he repaired the one from the first movie, changing it up a bit, and then he decided to make the new one identical to the one he fixed up. Well, it works for laundry, honestly.
And also, crime probably would not wait for him to make a new suit. That's kind of practical to have more than one.
Ben, while you're talking, can you do it on your Twitter real quick and link our video here just so all the Spider-Man fans know we're talking?
Oh, yeah.
On your smartphone.
Here, okay. Yeah, I'll link it.
Cool. So back to that. How that ties into this, the very beginning, we get a nice montage prologue opening titles with Alex Ross artwork being displayed from recreating scenes from the first movie.
I always loved how all 3 of them changed it.
If you noticed, when he drew the artwork, he kept the comic book eyes, but kept all like the design of the first movie suit for the most part.
Like the circular eyes, instead of the one that has like the straight edge, you know.
Was that you think that was just a way of him keeping key to his usual art style where he draws Spider-Man, or was that him creative?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, because he wants to leave his mark on it so people will be like, oh yeah, that's Alex Ross. I know those eyes, you know.
Most people recognize when it's Alex Ross's Spider-Man art, the key thing they notice is the eye shape. At least for me.
Yeah, there's a million different shapes. Same with the spider, and even back spider. After these movies, that kind of started the whole thing of the back spider not being a tick anymore.
Yeah, one thing. In the first movie, the spider on the back was fat, and in 2 and 3, the spider on the back was skinny.
In the first one, the legs were more like in, and then on the third and second one,
yeah, and then
out.
In the second movie, the suit was darker in color. Like you had a darker red, and it was the blue on his suit was near identical to to the black that you would see in the original video comics.
Yeah, especially if you compare it to, like, say the new ones, like MCU or just comic ones, you can tell that the blue is a lot darker.
Yeah. Which one was it first, though, if you remember, when Ditko drew Spider-Man? Was it red and black first, or red and blue, and then red and black for a bit, and then
It
back?
was it was like red and black, but it had a bunch of shading, like how Venom or Spider-Man 2099 would be. Um, that had shading of light blue.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the plot of this movie for a bit before we go into behind the scenes and all that. So, basically, it starts out with the iconic opening that everyone knows. Then it cuts to a picture of Mary Jane on a billboard for the play that she's in. And it's on Broadway, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And then it's like, yeah, he was.
It cuts to Peter stop, and then he just one of Toby's iconic shock faces pops up. Is the first thing you literally see in the movie of him, and stops right in front of his boss, Mr. Aziz. And I'll let you take over from here because I know this is one of your favorite parts.
So yeah, he goes in, and I can't remember this guy's name. It always goes away from my mind. The most iconic character from the entire movie series got deported. That should have been. He should have been sent. He should have been sent for the pizza delivery. So then Peter has got to go. Yeah.
Oh wait, they got who got deported?
Salim or whatever his name is.
Mr. Aziz?
No, it was the guy. He's like, why didn't you send what's his name? You know? I don't know. It's not very crucial, but yeah. So then he has to go do the pizza time, and he goes to the place, and of course he's late because that's kind of this whole movie is like,
yeah,
very accurate to the comics. So,
well, what I like is the time jump that they roughly went over Peter's young end of high school, early college years, and then they just jump right into adult years. So let's be honest, Peter's best stories are when he's an adult.
Really, yes. When he's away from, oh no, I gotta get home before bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you continue with pizza time.
Yeah, he goes for the pizza time, and then she can't pay for it, or she doesn't want to because he's late, and then he gets fired by getting the thing ripped off, and then
this whole thing about promises. You remember the full dialogue?
Yeah. He's like he goes to his birthday party, and then I watched Spider-Man 2.1 recently, so it's a little bit hard to know what's in the regular one and what's not, you know.
Right.
I like all the extra stuff about like looking at a picture of Norman Osborn with Harry and they talk about him.
Yeah.
And I also like the "if you knew who he was, would you tell me" line. That's a really good line of dialogue.
Yeah, after the whole thing gets fired, yeah, it's his birthday and he forgot, right? And then Aunt May gives him a $20 bill for his birthday. And he's
the ad said 3,000.
What?
The ad said 3,000.
I see what you did there. Is that did somebody make a YouTube poop of that yet?
I don't know specifically if I remember something like that.
I could see somebody using that scene and doing something like that with it. Anyways, yeah, he doesn't want to accept it because he thinks she needs it more, and she's crying and telling him to take it. So he does, and another iconic scene that comes up. It's on his way back to his apartment when Mr. Ditkovich, Mr. I want all your rent guy, hassles him for the 100th time now. 2 months behind. I'm gonna let you just do the dialogue. I know you love quoting these movies.
So he's like, I can't remember if he said you're a month late again, or you're 2 months late. It's hard.
Again,
It's hard to remember. Yeah, he's like,
2 months.
again, and then he's like, I'll get it to you. I promise. I only have this 20 for the rest of the week, and then uh, I always get it mixed up. I have eyes like a
Promises were
yeah.
if
If
promises
promises were
were crackers,
crackers,
then my
my
daughter
daughter would be fat. And then and don't try to sneak past me again. Don't try to sneak
sorry,
past me again.
I spend it. But yeah, don't sneak past me again. I got
I
the
have.
a rodent, and
He's like eyes like a cat or something.
it's like a cat and ears like a rodent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so after that, he swipes his 20, and then Peter goes to his room,
crappy apartment.
his crappy apartment room with a very bad door.
And you can notice in the background the picture of Mary Jane from the first movie.
Yes. And so in there, I think, doesn't it cut to him meeting up with Harry to meet Otto Octavius? Or
He's like, I think he goes to
college.
He's like going to Dr. Connor's class.
Yeah.
And then he's like, your paper's on fusion is overdue, and he's like, I'm planning to write it, and he's like, planning is not a major here.
Yeah. And then it cuts to meeting Octavius.
Yeah, because that's actually important, so he can write his paper, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever does that though.
Something I really liked about this movie, it really sets with me still, was Octavius, and this wasn't a bad guy. He was just corrupted by the technology attached to him, manipulating his brain waves.
Yeah, not just like the comics where he's like, I have no motivation, but I'm mad and bad. Yeah.
He's actually convinced he's doing good.
The right thing, because for the greater good, he needs that to make like the energy resources and stuff.
Because his whole motivation was
it's his life's work and stuff.
Replicate the sun and make a free renewable resource that can power the whole city without having people having to pay extra money for power.
And that would be really useful. All right, yeah. So then,
they never stated what the slight miscalculation was. They always said only the slightest miscalculation could go wrong, and he did it.
Yeah, he did it, and then it just kind of went wrong by itself. It's like it broke out of the little like force field around it, and so
there's like too much magnetism or something.
Because that's what always confuses me every time I watch it is if there's somebody with braces or earrings, why don't they come out and go into it, you know?
I wonder if that had to do with it. Maybe that was the miscalculation. It wasn't on his end, but it was the people around him coming in with all this jewelry. It kind of
yeah, you can't really help that. You can't really just say don't wear metal things, don't wear earrings or anything.
There is a specific amount of magnetism that is used to make this go just right, and all the people coming in with all that jewelry on them was enough to push it right over.
Yeah, like it can only handle so much like stuff before it goes like haywire and starts taking all of it in.
But yeah, then the experiment goes wrong. Peter quickly changes into Spider-Man with his 7-piece Spidey suit that he always wears underneath him, and somehow shoves the gloves and boots in his pants.
The boots that have soles that were silver in the first movie.
Does that though? You notice he's always wearing baggy clothing, right?
Like long sleeve shirts and stuff.
And vests and stuff. He shoves the boots inside his vest. I'll show you, because I have a vest that I do this with.
Okay.
You know, vests are usually pretty thick, right? Well, mine, I cut the sleeves off, but usually vests have a little thing on the inside where you can tuck, where it's just 2 layers of jean and stitching.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is he cut the slits on the inside, and that's where he's been
Yeah.
stuffing his gloves and boots.
Yeah, he probably has done that for most of his clothes. He's probably like rigged them to be able to hide spider and stuff.
Yeah, most definitely.
I wish they would have elaborated on that a little bit more, because at the beginning of the movie, he's like, there was a disturbance and he's shoving his mask into the pocket. I wish they would have elaborated on, like,
Yeah.
you can't just have them all in the pockets because the pockets will be like this big, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, my guess is there's multiple pockets throughout for each individual thing, because he only needs to cover up 5 pieces, because he's already
The
wearing
gloves.
for 2.
Yeah, the gloves, mask, and boots.
Yeah, the mask, that's easy to shove somewhere. The gloves, that's pretty easy too. The boots, you're gonna have to fold up a bit, but it shouldn't take up enough space, because it's literally just a flat sole and everything else squishes together, because that puff paint for the webbing doesn't break off of it from what we've seen.
Conveniently.
Yeah, torn by the blades and stuff. But yeah,
So I'm trying to remember where we left off.
he changed. We left off at him changing into the suit and
Yeah.
trying to save people.
Yeah, so he saves Harry, and then he's like, this doesn't change anything, and I think he just stares at him, and then he,
Okay.
yeah, whatever, I don't care. So then he goes to the machine, and Octavius is like, what are you doing? And he says, I'm pulling the plug, and then he probably could have just done it without tearing it out of the wall, but Octavius hits him off before he can do it, and then it breaks the glass and kills his wife, or Rosie,
And
you know.
shocks him too.
And then it also shocks him to, like, make the stuff
Doesn't
be
it?
stuck in.
I had to quote that.
So then Spider-Man does pull the thing, but then I think Octavius is unconscious, and then Rosie's big dead now. So then after that, they're at the hospital, and then
I love this scene. This is where you start to see Sam Raimi's horror expertise playing that from his Evil Dead movies.
And Army of Darkness and all that stuff.
Have you seen any of the Evil Dead movies?
Takes shop class? No, I haven't. Literally the only Sam Raimi movies I've ever seen.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've heard about the other
movies are horror films.
I've heard of them.
So, in that scene where he is, where Doc Ock's arms are self-aware and they start killing all the doctors in there, is I haven't seen Army of Darkness or any of the Evil Dead movies. I've only seen clips from them. I know he's a huge horror director, so I can only assume that a lot of the directing and cinematography of that scene was at least inspired or came from his experience from directing horror films.
Yeah, you can tell, like, it grabs the lady and her fingernails are dragging against the floor.
I was curious, was that her was that her nails that were actually peeling off against it, or was she actually scratching the floor?
I feel like the more logical answer was for them peeling it off, but it might have been scratching the floor. I don't know. I can't scratch off a floor.
Nah.
But you also, I don't know if it actually specifically shows it, but at the beginning of the movie, the light in the middle of the tentacles is white, and then when they get corrupted, it turns red. You can know at the end when he's like, "Listen to me now." They turn white again for a minute. Yeah. So then all of them. So it's like 5 of them killing people, throwing them through glass, stabbing through. Surprisingly, a chainsaw can't break through these things. And then there's the episode 3 Darth Vader. Yeah, there's an episode 3 Darth Vader no after that. basically.
The
And then
Octavius' tentacles are made of vibranium. That's your answer to why this chainsaw couldn't break it.
headcanon.
Yep.
Raimi's MCU. Raimi's. Except that makes sense. Whatever. We're gonna ignore that, I guess.
Oh, but yeah, after Dr. Octopus escaped, then it cuts to the Daily Bugle and them coming up with a new headline. And they were, I can't remember what it was. It was
like they were really close to the deadline, so they wanted pictures of Spider-Man. But
and
he had pictures of the park and stuff.
They were trying to come up with a name for Dr. Octopus, and it was Doctor Strange. That's good.
That's pretty good.
But it's taken. And then Doc Ock or something. And he says Doc Ock. Because originally it was wasn't Sam Raimi that guy? Isn't that Sam Raimi playing his assistant?
Hoffman? I think it's like Sam Raimi's. I don't know if Sam Raimi has a brother or not. I heard something about that. Somebody's brother.
Yeah, the guy's name is Hoffman, right? Daily Bugle. It's hip. It's not. That was from 3, wasn't it? When he was using ridiculous headlines.
That's the worst idea you've had by far, and you've had some doozies.
Okay, so with that scene, then Parker comes in, and this is where he fires him, like attempts to fire him, right? And rehire.
You're fired, Chief the Planetarium. Oh right, you're on fire. I need you. Come here.
And then another meme happens at this point. It's can you pay me in advance? And it just goes into a full laughter. And then
serious?
Just Planetarium tomorrow night. Here's the door.
Pay for what? Standing there?
And then I believe after that, what was the next thing that happened? Wasn't it the play?
Yeah, I think he tried to make it to the play.
Yeah. And then he fails.
I think it's like it's either he goes and fights the thugs in the car.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then he beats them up and throws them into the web and then drives the car.
Yeah.
And then somehow changes back into his clothes while driving, and then he parks and the guy's like, "Hey, if you park there, I'm towing it." And he goes, "Whatever."
Yeah. And then after that, he
goes into the place and Mysterio, Bruce Campbell
was there, and he plays the admission, the ticket
guy. Whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know.
The ticket guy, and we'll let him get in.
It helps maintain the illusion.
As he comes out, there's an Asian woman playing the Spider-Man theme on viola. Which one fun story. That's the first. Spider-Man 3 is the first superhero movie I've ever seen in theaters, and with my mom, with my adoptive mother, and she always laughed hysterically at that part. She's not a big comic book fanatic, but she really found the part with the Chinese woman playing Spider-Man theme on the piano on the violin.
Oh, you mean Spider-Man 2? Sorry, I think You mean Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, you said Spider-Man 3 accidentally. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that part's funny. I also really like this song from Spider-Man 1. The guy in the montage.
Oh yes.
Like you dress like a spider.
Your dress is like a bug.
We should all just give him one great big hug.
Look out! Ooh, there goes a Spider-Man. Fun fact: you know Aerosmith did a cover of the Spider-Man theme?
I think I heard something about that. I don't think I've ever heard
Steven
it though.
Tyler, and when he was with Aerosmith, they did a
Mm.
It's the last song on the Spider-Man 1 soundtrack.
I think they also did the theme for the '90s show. Might have been.
Maybe.
Cause I remember one episode of the '90s one where he had the symbiote, and it
Mhm.
would like morph into different clothes, and he was like, it morphed into that. He said that one guy from Aerosmith. I think it was a
Steven.
reference to like the makers of the theme song.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Well, Steven Tyler's are pretty huge in the rock industry.
Mhm. So then is this is when the first time that his powers fail on him. Like he
Hmm.
starts trying to swing, and after a while, he just falls and smashes on the vent system, and then isn't this when he takes the elevator,
Yeah,
or is that later?
nice Spidey suit.
I think that's when he takes the elevator.
I'm curious. Did they ever really explain why he was losing his powers?
Somebody on Twitter explained this to me, and it seems right. He said it was like it's because he's sad and stuff, and he's like confused
Hmm.
about like what he's supposed to do. And he they explain the reason that that it never happens again, like in Spider-Man 3 or 1,
Hmm.
specifically after Uncle Ben would die, because I would expect that to happen. Because he realizes that it's his responsibility to be Spider-Man, like he knows what to do after this. But for the time being, it's like he's really conflicted because he can't get anywhere on time, and he's just having a really bad time, you know?
For me, this may sound dumb, but this is something I noticed based off of a lot of the supernatural elements of that trilogy. Like
Uh-huh.
ghosts apparently do exist, and if not, they're just illusions. For example, how
Mhm.
Norman Osborn's ghost is still present.
Yeah, Norman
Um,
Osborn.
so I'm going to go off the assumption that ghosts do exist. What if
Yeah, and also
the
Uncle Ben
ghost
talks to
of
Peter.
Ben? Because you could tell there was that one scene in his dream. It kind of felt like it was actually him there. What if
Uh-huh.
Ben took the powers from him for a bit to teach him a lesson? Like, or
Yeah,
did
that's
something
actually
intervening?
yeah, that's a good observation thing, whatever. It's
Paranormal
creative, I mean.
very like ghosts. They make it clear ghosts exist in that trilogy
Mhm.
with Norman Osborn.
Because I don't think Harry has not had not even taken the goblin serum yet, and
Right.
he was already seeing him.
Hmm.
It's like just looking for Spider-Man for a few years is probably not going to make you start seeing clear as day visions of your dead dad in the mirror.
Hmm.
That sounds exactly like him and looks like him and talks to you, you know?
Yeah, it's a ghost.
Mhm.
See, I'm running with Ben took the powers and then give it back to him.
Yeah, I think that's a good theory. Yeah, cuz it watching the movie it's kind of hard to know because you watch it and he just loses them, you know? And then sometimes they come back and then in the middle of fighting Doc Ock at the bank, he's like, oh no, come on," you know?
Yeah, and so Ben would have slowly been manipulating him or his power
Mhm.
ability as he made just more and more mistakes throughout. And it's when he finally fixed
Mhm.
his mistake throughout near the middle to end of the movie when he really gets his powers back.
Because he had the choice to like he made the choice to stop being Spider-Man,
Hmm.
and that's like totally ignoring his responsibility. Um, so then when the fire happened where he had to go in and somebody died, he realized
Hmm.
that like it's his responsibility to do this.
And I
And then
want
he
to
got his
bring up
powers back.
Homecoming because I never
'Cause-
really appreciated Homecoming until I really thought deeply about it. Um,
Mhm.
that actually does. There's a scene in Homecoming that sounds a whole lot like this in the sense if this paranormal theory is correct. That if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. And then the rest of the movie is him trying to figure out how to do the right thing and be responsible without having this suit that was given to him by Stark. And in this, it was after Peter had gotten his powers taken away by his uncle, assuming the theory I had just brought up is correct. He learned slowly how to have his responsibility during the fire scene, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Without having his powers. And after that, he had proven to his uncle that he was responsible again and was worthy of being Spider-Man. And thus,
because he's willing to risk his life even if he doesn't have powers.
Right.
Like, just to save this person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so if somebody did end up dying, but he still did the right thing in the first place, saving that little girl.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a question.
In order to, what?
While we're talking about that scene, do you notice the building that the fire was in is the same building that the Bugle was at?
No, I don't remember.
The Bugle was always been shown as being that tall, slender, sloped building in New York. That
it's like a triangle shape.
Yeah. The fire building, the building the fire was in is the same building. The only difference is it didn't have the Bugle logo on it.
That's funny. I never noticed that.
Yeah, well, in the Spider-Man movies, you'll see a lot of familiar, like, New York landmark locations.
As like story important buildings. Is that what you're talking about?
There's just like actual like recognizable buildings that are landmarks to New York City.
Oh yeah. I don't know if this place is like a landmark, but I know Norman Osborn's apartment place that he lives in, and then it's Harry's in the next two movies. That place is like I don't know if it's a landmark or anything, but you can find it in like a bunch of games and stuff that's not tied to the Raimi movies.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's that's really cool.
That one clothing store that Peter danced down Broadway to go to in Spider-Man 3 is actually a bank.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I looked it up.
That's awesome. I want to go to that place one day. If I ever go to New York, I'm going there.
Tobey Maguire fan on Instagram. He's the one that posts all the memes, and he did a live reading of Spider-Man 3 script once on Instagram. He posted.
How long would that take?
He posts on Instagram about that actually being a bank.
Okay, I'll follow him.
Yeah, I'll send you his profile on Instagram later.
All right.
Well, actually, I'm gonna shout him out right now in case people are watching because he deserves the
recognition.
Yes, the recognition. All right, Toby. Follow Tobey Maguire fan 53. That's all lowercase.
All right. I'm gonna do that right now. All right. All right, I'll do that.
Yep. And with that said, moving on. So things are really crappy for him at the moment. Peter eventually sees a building on fire, decides to go in regardless of not having powers, saves a family, and then goes back in and saves a little girl. Was that boy or girl? I can't remember. I thought it was a girl.
It was a little girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Then gives her to her mom, saves her, and then he's being healed by the paramedics.
Yeah, he has like tinfoil or something on. I don't really know how that works, but it's like I don't know. He probably inhaled a lot of smoke in there.
And so after that, what was the next step? What did he do after that? Wasn't it Doc Ock? Oh, I remember.
I remember. Okay, so the guy, there was a fireman, and he was like, some poor soul got trapped on the second floor or something, and then I think he's in his apartment, and he's like, He's like, "Am I not supposed to have what I want, what I need? What am I
Yeah.
supposed to do?" And then he gets the chocolate cake from Mr. Dickovich's daughter
Yep. Yeah, have you
in the
ever
milk.
seen the YouTube? There's a YouTuber who has done many video essays on Spider-Man 2, and it's genius. And it's just
Um,
and they did an entire video on the cake scene that lasted like 30 minutes or something like that
uh,
around there.
here, what's the name of the guy?
Let me check.
The YouTube channel? I think I might know what you're talking about.
It's a Spider-Man 2 cake scene. It's High Top Film, Spider-Man 2, The Importance
Oh, I
of.
love that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to watch that video. That sounds great.
It is. But yeah, it's and the video is like 5 minutes and 22 seconds talking about the importance of that one scene.
I wouldn't find a way to stretch it that long. Wow.
Well, this guy's great. But yeah. So after the cake scene, I think it cuts to him meeting Mary Jane at the diner. Which I want to go back
Mm-hmm.
there real quick.
Yeah.
What in Peter's right mind does he keep going for MJ when that girl's right in front of him the whole time? Giving
Yeah,
him
I
way
know.
more positivity and tension.
Way more. Yeah, and not just like I'm gonna say I'm gonna get married to this guy, so you will be messed up,
Mm-hmm.
depressed, sad. um, really, that girl is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I guess above all, it's just comic accuracy
Yeah.
from Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I'm sure Stanley would have been okay with that.
Mhm.
I wonder if she was written to be the more nicer side of MJ, and MJ was written to be the more
This is not
usual
about
side.
you, it's about me side.
Hmm?
Um, like in Spider-Man 3, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a lot of Spider-Man 3 is based around MJ. Is what I mean.
yeah. Well, the whole movie is based around how um, MJ being a dick.
Yeah.
But back to two. After that, they're at the diner, and then she's trying to figure out if Peter really loves him. And then they're about to kiss, and then a car gets flown right through the window in slow mo, which is probably one of the best visual effects scenes I've seen in a movie as far
Mhm.
as car tossing.
Also, that
And
is a very great and subtle way to go to the guy that you need to be alive to know where Spider-Man is. Throw a car at him.
yeah, yep.
It's a genius plan.
I'm trying to figure out the logic of that scene now. Actually, looking back, because the Ock did. I wonder if did Ock didn't know Peter was Spider-Man.
No, Harry just told him Peter Parker takes his photo. He probably knows where he
Yeah,
is. Um, Maybe he thought Spider-Man was close to him, so he'd catch the car.
maybe I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that was his hope was that Spider-Man would be nearby and he would catch the car.
That would be hilarious if he killed him, though. And then he just couldn't find
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah, because Harry had asked, said, if you give me Spider-Man, I'll give you the tritium. So he went after
Mhm.
Spider-Man and found Peter Parker, and um, basically said, basically was acting like a jerk to him, despite having not seen him since before the accident.
Yeah. Um,
But I think that was the clause and not him.
yeah, it's not really him thinking too much about that. He just wants Spider-Man really bad.
Yeah,
Um,
inspiration to get his work done.
and also I probably wouldn't be too nice to somebody if they just held me over the side of a building. Um, and wanted my most precious resource in probably the
Wait,
entire world. I don't know. I don't know what tritium exactly is. There's not.
no, I mean, when Otto's first encounter with Peter, since
Oh, yeah. I
was
think
literally
that doesn't make sense. Couldn't he just be like, "Hey, Peter, where's Spider-Man? I need to ask him. I need to ask him for directions."
yeah,
Yeah,
be a
yeah. I
desperation,
don't.
I think.
Yeah. Instead, he's just like, give me him, or I'll kill her."
And
He's
or
like,
I'll peel
"Okay,
the flesh off
off
her
her bones." Yeah.
bones.
Um. Yeah. So then there is then
I do
I
want to
can't
focus
remember.
on that scene real quick though, because you remember
Mhm.
when you hear the stomping and then it's just the claws on the ground. It's out of the camera's angled on the ground. It's the claws coming on.
Mhm.
I want to take a moment to talk about that because I thought that was shot very well. How do you think they did
Mhm.
it? Did they actually just use props and just stomp it down on
Yeah,
like a bone ground?
I'm thinking they just used two tentacle props and then it got the camera and like rolled it with it
Yeah,
and then moved it and like shook the camera every time. And
and
then
added in some digital effects to make the ground crack.
and then cut to Peter and MJ like looking at it
Yeah.
in the ground in the camera shaking.
Mm. Oh, and then the thing I noticed is after this scene, we get Peter goes serious, and he takes his glasses off and drops them.
Mhm.
Because like literally after this scene, his eyes are blurry. Do you remember?
Yeah, when he puts back on his glasses cuz he gets his powers back,
Yeah. So
like you
he
said.
drops it, and then
So,
as he's walking, you get a slow mo of the glasses falling, and then
and then
the
one of the
glasses
lenses fall out.
lens breaking off. And
Mhm.
yes, I do have these glasses because they look similar to the ones he wears in the movies.
Mhm.
If you didn't notice that.
Um oh yeah, and there's a lot of um there's a little like piece of tape wrapped around his glasses in the movies, and
Mhm.
they reference that in the PS4 game on this old pair of glasses.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
yeah. Um,
Oh, and after this scene, we cut to the Daily Bugle where J. Jonah Jameson has Spider-Man's suit because Peter had thrown it out.
yeah, he quit.
Yeah, after he'd quit.
Mhm.
And you get a moment of J. Jonah Jameson um, feeling regretful for and feeling blamed that he
Mhm.
drove Spider-Man out of town.
That's ironic. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the one who could have stopped Octavius.
And what was funny, there was a deleted scene before this where it showed Jameson in the suit.
Yeah, he's jumping around on his desk with the suit and going.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So the Spider-Man steals the suit, and there's another one of the best visual effects in these movies is him swinging through the "He's Back" newspaper.
Hmm. And you got to admire Peter's handwriting when it says courtesy of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Um, it looks too nice, like it was printed.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't see how he could. Where did he get a pen?
What
Did
was
he
that?
grab one?
Sharpie.
Yeah, where did he get one of those?
I
He
wonder if
has one in.
he just has copies that he just carries in a pocket and then puts them around whenever
That
he.
would. Yeah, that would make more sense. Um. Yeah. So then he goes and. I want to say Doctor Octopus is on top of a thing, and it like zooms out of his glasses to show Spider-Man swinging towards him, and he goes on top of the building. He's like, "Where is she?"
Yeah,
And then they fight a little bit, and this Spider-Man is really like fierce. If you noticed, of course
yeah,
you've noticed. He like throws the clock hand that could easily stab through Doctor Octopus. It just
yeah.
barely
He's
misses
ready to
him.
kill at this point.
Yeah, really.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's the train fight, which is also one of the best fights.
Yeah, and then.
And then he, yeah, and Spider-Man 2.1, Dr. Octopus holds him in front of a train and it hits him, and he literally just gets right back up and starts swinging back.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, it's really cool because it makes more sense how he doesn't just die from being punched a lot, because it's like people know Spider-Man's strong, but people don't realize how durable he is as well, rather than just having a lot of muscle mass.
He tried to stop the train with his foot, and it kept slamming against the tracks until eventually he could
destroying him.
hurt him.
And then imagine how that would feel to have the web coming out of your wrist, but also being pulled against. That would hurt.
Oh, I've had mental thoughts on that, and you know how when you think about something enough, you can kind of feel the mental thought of it physically.
Yeah.
It hurts like hell.
Yeah.
I've had a few dreams of I was that version of Spider-Man, and it kind of tricked my veins inside my wrist into pushing more blood back and forth, giving that feeling. And it's not pleasant.
Oof.
You ever tried to trick your body mentally by like into thinking that you could actually shoot webs, and then you get the mental feeling of it?
I haven't done it for shooting webs. I've done it for like the small like hair things coming out to try and crawl on the wall. You feel like you kind of feel like your fingers being weird, like Yeah, it's
for me, I've thought about that too, and it feels like just needles pricking into me.
Because they're kind of sharp. Also, they So then, this is one thing I've always thought. Huh?
Back to that real quick. Did I ever tell you my thought on how he's able to stick to walls inside the suit?
No.
Okay. So you remember how his web, he has little spider legs on his hands that extend out, kind of like how a cat has claws that extends out. So picture this. Right? Yeah, I got Deadpool socks. Yeah, picture this. So they can extend out, and his soles are really flat, like
really thin.
The size of the soles of like the padding of the inside of a shoe that you kind of just take out and it's really thin. Those are literally it, and they have tiny holes pricked on the inside that they can extend out of.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like he sticks his hand against it, and then they come out a little bit more to like stick better to the wall through his suit.
Yeah. And they showed that in the first movie when he first climbs the wall.
Because they like come out and then he puts his hand against it, and then he kind of has to like pull and get it off and to keep.
Either that, or there's cleats at the bottom of his suit. They're just really thin.
Yeah, so it's easy to go through. And then this is something that's always confused me from the comics, is that when he shoots a web out, like when he takes his hand off, does it just stop and then the web just goes and he has to grab it before he goes out? Because in a lot of things he just shoots and then he's instantly swinging.
Yeah. From what I noticed, it's when he shoots in his hand motion, at least in the movie version, it's like when he triggers it lets go.
He can go like this without shooting web, but he has to like press it for it to come out, and then in the first movie it shows it kind of like flies out and then he stops and it stops.
Because when he does this, he usually does like a little jerk and then it just stops.
Yeah, so then he stops the train
and then after that it was and then when he folds back up it stops.
Oh yeah.
It's like
yeah, so when he's stopping the train when he's shooting webs, he's like that,
and grabs on before it slips.
Grabs all of them. So then Yeah, he stops the train, and then Dr. Octopus comes on after a really good moment of all the people bringing him back into the train. They could have easily just let him fall.
They played it out like the second coming of Christ too.
Yeah.
Or no, what they played it out like the when there was I know it was a parallel to something with Jesus, like when his body was taken down and
Yeah, something like it's
he
hard
was
to
laying.
remember.
Yeah.
I remember something about people like carrying.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But they did that, and then they said they wouldn't tell his secret. And they give him the mask back, and then he went looking for
Mhm.
Doc Ock and found the old Oscorp lab.
Oh yeah.
Which that never made sense to me. What was that attached to exactly? Because in the first scene where we see that building, it looks like it's like in a New York alley, and then it's separated on a harbor.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's complicated. Oscorp was a kind of Oscorp was
Like
really like,
on a dock. You just see the angle camera.
I think maybe could be.
Well, New York. Just to be fair, New York is a weirdly is a very strange city in general. So I wouldn't be
Hmm.
surprised if it's this whole area is just is like literally the whole area like in the camera is
Hmm.
buildings and stuff, and then like right over here is a harbor.
Yeah.
I, it's definitely not the
Um.
strangest off cam thing I've seen.
So after that, then he's taken to Harry's the place where he lives. And then another good scene of when he's like, "I'm gonna look into your eyes as you die and see who's behind this mask." And then
Mm.
he takes it off, and then stumbles back and drops his knife and
Oh yeah, that's
hits
right,
against the
right.
table.
Doc Ock takes Peter's body
Hmm.
and then gives it to Harry, and then he takes the tritium and leaves. So yeah,
Yeah. Um. So then, yeah, he
and
takes it and
Harry doesn't know that Doc Ock has MJ.
yeah, he doesn't know. So then he takes off his mask and like he stumbles back and trips on his table, and then Peter wakes up and he gets up and he's like, "You killed my father," and he's like, and then he's like, "There's bigger things happening here," which a lot of people were like, "Why didn't he just say I didn't kill your father?" It's because Norman said, "Don't tell Harry."
Right.
You know, he's kind of honoring that by not specifically saying.
Hmm.
Um.
He's dodged that question since constantly Harry actually gets the glider
Uh
and
huh.
goes full killer
Spider-Man
mode,
3.
and it's like, my life's more important than I promise.
Yeah, I would say so. Um, yeah, so then I don't know if there's anything else that happens between this. I think he just goes to the warehouse and fights Doc
Yeah,
Ock then.
and then that's when Doc Ock finally comes to senses, realizing that his surrogate son is Spider-Man.
Brilliant but lazy.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and MJ realizes too after he takes off his mask.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, so he can bring him to his um, beating up Doc Ock. I noticed this one has like the shortest amount of a final fight out of all the three.
Right.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't even get his costume that damaged. Like up here and stuff is from earlier in the movie when he's
Well, he got most of his costume damaged during the train fight.
yeah. And
I think the biggest thing he got damaged in the final fight was his shoulders.
they got a little bit beaten up
It was
too.
all torn all the way up to here.
Yeah.
In that final shot when MJ leaves, you see him on the tower like this with his
Yeah.
mask off, and then you see all that exposed skin and the torn elbow.
So then, I think after that, after MJ goes home, I think I'm trying to see if I'm forgetting anything. I think then there's the wedding part,
right?
like, yeah, the supposed to be wedding part, and then she like doesn't feel right about it or something. I don't know. She writes
It's just,
something on a piece of paper, and then there's the when the music's playing, John Jameson's just looking at there, and J. Jonah Jameson's like,
yeah.
um,
I find it funny that Jameson didn't fire Peter after this or anything, because literally his
mhm.
his now not ever gonna be daughter-in-law dumped his son, the astronaut, for a low life
Yeah,
photographer, as he would see it.
yeah. Especially since like it was a it would have been a big thing for like his son to be married to her, because then it would be good for business and stuff, you know.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so then he left there, and then there's MJ running through the park
Yeah,
to go back to Peter's apartment, and then I can't remember the quote at the end.
it was.
It was like, I'm ready to accept all the risks or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, Something like that.
and then we
And
get our
then
last final
there's
swing before
another.
we get the Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Well,
well,
of that
live
series,
action
I
at
mean.
least. Yeah, of
Well,
this one.
of that series. No, so the Amazing Spider-Man had
Well,
one.
actually, not live action. The Amazing Spider. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I got confused.
The point is three unfortunately didn't have that.
Yeah, 3 does have a good ending though. I like the ending of 3.
It does.
Um, it always confused me at the end of 2. After the final swing, it goes back to MJ's face, and she looks sad, and then it ends on that. It's like,
Yeah.
why? I guess she doesn't like him always having to leave, but it's like she just said she wanted to accept the risk. So what's the problem?
Right. My guess
Um.
is that was foreshadowing for 3,
Mhm.
and no one caught on.
Yeah, because of course, he originally intended for the Vulture to be the villain. But of 3. But that it seems like that plotline is probably the most explored one, with like the MJ and Peter,
Yes.
like, yeah, all that was, yeah, it seems like that was planned from the beginning, because
Mhm.
that was the most like explored thing in Spider-Man 3. um yeah, so that's the end, and then what do you want to go over now?
Oh, not exactly end yet. And then we get the end credits with one of the best
Oh,
songs ever written for a Spider-Man movie,
yeah.
"Vindicated" by Dashboard Confessional, which I gladly own the original album of right here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. And yeah, this is the
Yeah, that's the start of using that specific logo for every Raimi Spider-Man related thing with Spider-Man 2. I always love seeing all the stock pictures and stuff that they use for Spider-Man, the Raimi movies.
oh yeah, I love the stock pics.
Hmm.
They actually put a bunch into this in comic format.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The one in the middle of him
Yeah.
like swinging, they
Mhm.
cut away from it almost immediately in the movie. It's hard to notice.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you're all right. Um, One thing I want to go over, I think we can go into now, is merchandise for this movie.
Yeah, this movie had a lot of stuff.
Well, I think one of the ones I remember the most, and this is I was a huge Lunchables kid back in
Mm-hmm.
04. They had the Lunchables lunch packs. Each different one came with a Spider-Man 2 3D vinyl card,
Oh,
and
cool.
how it was on the back. It had a little name in the scene on the front. You would flip it, and it was a moving image.
Mm.
And I think I had the most of because this is the most common one was Doc Ock just coming out of the hospital and tossing the taxi.
Yeah, I remember they used that. They used that for like
Hmm.
it was like a junior novel or something. I remember that picture of Doc Ock throwing a taxi. They always have those things for like a lot of the books that had pictures and stuff, you know. Um,
Yes.
they had like a specific set for all three of these movies. One I remember from Spider-Man 3 is him being choked by Venom, and then Venom's out of the frame, like
Hmm.
he's blurred.
Well, the whole marketing for 3, they wouldn't even reveal what Venom looked like until the toys came in.
Mm. And he had a lot more of a tongue than he did in the movie.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's a few of the Lunchable cards, and they
mm,
had a little hole in the center where you could like look through, and you used it to look at the codes on the box for the little games.
that's cool. Yeah, I liked the how the first and second Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies have a lot of like orange color to them.
Oh yes.
Yeah, especially on the posters. There's a lot of them. Um,
Oh, these were, by the way, these were called Spider Sense decoders. That's what they were called.
mm, oh yeah. I remember we were talking about this on Twitter.
Hmm.
People don't really call it Spider Sense anymore. They call it Spidey Sense for some reason.
I had a theory for that. It was a Mandela effect situation
Yeah,
because
from Venom.
I didn't hear that phrase said as Spidey until after that one quote in Spider-Man 3 where Eddie Brock says, "My Spidey sense is tingling, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean." And I
Mhm.
think that's kind of what fooled the start of what fooled people into thinking it was Spidey and not Spider.
Uh-huh, because if you think about it, that kind of makes more sense because spiders don't have sense.
Hmm.
Kind of only a Spider-Man thing. But it always bothers me when they change the names of like classic abilities of characters like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they kind of just disregard it now. They kind of hint at it in Infinity War and stuff with like his arms hair going up. But they don't really. I always liked in these movies how they did like the cool sound and then like zooming in, looking at stuff. And
I
then
got
this was in the
something.
Amazing Spider-Man movies too, huh?
Remember, it's back to the Lunchables thing. So I did find something you may want, and for anyone who is a collector of Spider-Man merch, right now on eBay, the Spider-Man 2 lenticular decoder card from Oscar Mayer Lunchables. It's the complete set of 6 is $12.99 plus free shipping.
I might just buy that. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I might get.
it's on
I might.
eBay.
I think I might get those.
Yeah, I know I will. Yeah, it's $12.99 free shipping, and it comes in. Estimate delivery for me at least from the location is April 27th to May 1st.
Hmm. Okay, so
$13
that's actually not too
for
bad.
something vintage.
Yeah, a lot
I'll
of
send you
old.
the link. Yeah.
All right, send it to me on like Instagram or Twitter or whatever you want.
Yeah.
So something that, well, this is the case for most older things, but a lot of the, specifically Spider-Man 2 and 3, um I don't think as much one. Spider-Man
Mhm.
2 and 3 figures are so expensive now. They're like
Yeah.
$90 for something that was
I
like
think the
$12.
cheapest I've found is a high tech, or no, is a high quality Revotech figure
Mhm.
for Spider-Man 3. That's like $30. And
Yeah,
this is like, we're talking something that's better quality than the. This is something that's fully posable, comes with a display set,
mhm.
webs and everything. It's kind of funny that the cheapest that's in fair price for a Spider-Man raimi figure is a collector's item that's of high quality. Ironically,
Mhm.
here
Um,
Revo Revotech Spider-Man 3. I'm gonna show you.
all right. I remember one of the figures I got recent, like it was probably a year or two ago. Um, it was on eBay. There was a ton of Spider-Man 2 figures put up for sale. They
Hmm.
were started at like $20. Ooh, that's cool. Do they
That's
come
from
with like extra hands and stuff?
Yeah, it does, and a display stand. Shopping. I'm gonna go
Is
to
there
shopping and see.
is there a black version?
$17 plus $10 shipping.
Ooh. Um.
There, I don't
Uh.
think the black version exists yet. Or there might be a black version. Let's see. Revotech Spider-Man 3 black suit.
Yeah, because they don't really have to make that much change except for the spiders and stuff and pointier
Nope.
eyes slightly.
Nope. Just the red Spider-Man 2 suit. Isn't
Hmm.
the difference isn't 3? It's the same colors as the one suit, just with the second movie's design.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because in 2 and 3, the blue was a lot brighter.
Uh huh. And the red is more of a pink shade,
Yeah.
or at least that's just how it comes off because there's not as much like orange in that movie. Um.
Mhm.
Anyway, when there was like those $20 Spider-Man 2 figures, they were bidding. They were like bid items on eBay. So
Right?
they would skyrocket so fast so people would get them. So there was this one that came with a lamppost that I wanted because I only had like $20 at the time.
Yeah.
So I went to my dad and I was like, I want to bid on this. Let's get it. And he was like, it's gonna skyrocket at the last second. And I was like, all right, I'll just try because there's no bids right now. So then I did it, and at the end it was rising so fast.
So you didn't get it?
Um, Actually, surprisingly, I did.
Oh, is that
My
the one you're
dad,
talking about that had the lamppost?
yeah, my dad, he at like when there was like 1 second remaining, he added like $30 to it over what the last guy put. So I think it
When
was
was this?
$70 or something. It was probably like 2017.
Okay.
I
Wow,
don't
that was
know.
very nice of him. Did you pay him back for it?
Um, it took a while, but yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was really. I don't have it with me because I'm not like there right now, but
Right.
it's still super cool though. I like all the old figures.
All right. I found another one being sold that's cheaper. So
Ooh.
25 in total with the shipping added.
Was that 2007 or is it or is it newer?
This was 2007.
Wow. That's really good quality
Yeah.
for yeah, that's something that always
Find
annoys
it
me.
very cheap
Figure
on
comp
eBay. Yeah,
um
this one's
a,
1997 plus 4.99 shipping.
a lot of figure companies nowadays will cheap out and restrict articulation because they say the plastic's getting too expensive for that. And I looked it
Mhm.
up and it's like For a regular 6-inch action figure, to make 5,000, it's like 5 cents or something like that. I did the math. So when Hasbro took over for Spider-Man 3 and made him like 5-inch figures,
Mhm.
it's really there's no reason that they should have been more expensive.
Yeah, especially when you see those Marvel Legends figures.
Mhm.
Because literally, Marvel Legends is literally just the quality of the Spider-Man 1 and 2 figures.
Yeah.
With slightly less paint detail.
Especially now since they don't, and also less sculpting detail.
No, I was mad there weren't more toys for the Daredevil 2003 line when Toy was doing all this stuff, and I was kind of mad that the only figure they had for that hit. You remember how Spider-Man for like the Hulk toy line and the Spider-Man
Yeah, I have
toys
a lot of them.
that the joints would move in all directions?
Mhm.
For the Daredevil 2003, his joints only did like this for the arms.
Yeah, I remember that.
I hated that it didn't do like this. It was like
Yeah.
that.
And that
And I
was the
really liked
only
that suit, and that's why I really wanted it to work.
that was the only one they made, and it wouldn't it didn't have much articulation.
Nope. At least it came with a good display.
Sad. Was the sculpt good? I remember seeing it, but I can't exactly remember.
I've seen it in person because I went to a convention last year, and this person had all these Toy Wiz, vintage Toy Wiz figures out, and the Daredevil one was it came with like a sculpt of a church mural,
Mhm.
like the edge, kind of like gargoyle Batman type thing with a church mirror, and you would attach it to your wall using like a hook or Velcro strips or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I love when they used to do that for like the very first Spider-Man Classics figures. There's like these, and some Spider-Man 2 figures even, they came with like billboards that had these little, like a keyhole shape, and then you could put it on your wall.
Yeah,
And yeah, and they had like
did.
peg holes. I love those type of things.
She gave me a Velcro strips and then would stick it to the toy, the billboard,
Mm.
and then she would attach the strips to the wall and then stick them in.
Oh, that's awesome.
I used to have it. I remember. You can kind of see the mark right here.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you know, wait. This mark right here. That's where it
Oh,
used to
yeah.
be. I have not taken any effort to remove it from there because I lost it a while ago. It broke, unfortunately, but I have not made any effort to remove that mark from that wall because it's kind of a memory thing.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah, I
marker of
get
where it
that.
used. I think that's pretty much all it for tonight.
Yeah.
Until next week, 3. I'm tired.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed that. If you got anything you want to add in, please comment below. It's been fun,
Mhm.
and we will be back next week to hopefully we will do a short yay nay to it. Most likely, it's going to be a big yay.
Yeah.
And then talk about Spider-Man 3. And then after that, we will do What If Spider-Man 4.
Yeah. That's gonna be fun to cover all that.
Mm-hmm. So until next time, see you later, Weekend Warriors. Anything you want to end it off with?
Um, I don't know if I have anything particular for this time. I don't know, basically what you already covered. Just come
Okay,
back.
cool.
Don't leave forever.
See you next week, everyone.